I know you can't feel the weather because you listening or you're watching, but it is cold. It's like 50 something degrees. I'm a Floridian and this is not normal. But anyways, hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Welcome in, welcome in. If you guys don't know me, my name is Naya Brown and this is the I Am Not My Hair podcast. The question and the topic that we are getting into today is all about what if the one thing that you've placed your identity on, whether it's your career or your sports or a person, gets taken away? Who are you and what do we do after that? So let's get into it. I think a really easy example that a lot of people can relate to, or a lot of people at least have met somebody like this, is an athlete. So a lot of the time with athletes, you know, especially if you've been doing it since you were younger, you've always been envisioning yourself as this professional insert sport here player, right? You've been working through, you know, middle school, high school, and don't let you be good, because when you're good, you know, you have people like calling you, you know, offering you money, really, you know, hyping you up in a way of like, this could be your future, this could be so big. It could all be a great thing. But, you know, say if you get injured, say if something happens, like, and that's not your future reality, but you spend your entire like childhood really into your teens and your, you know, young adult years thinking that's what you're going to be. What happens when that gets taken away from you? And that's a scary place to be, because for me, I grew up, you know, elementary, middle school, high school, really, and also late adult years, really thinking I was going to be America's next top model. I was going to be the next Zendaya. And as you guys know, is I moved to Atlanta. Actually, I don't think you guys know that, but my YouTube does. And if you haven't seen my YouTube, go look at that too. But I moved to Atlanta and I was in New York Fashion Week. I was doing all these things and it really looked like modeling was it for me. I was like, I knew it. Next thing you know, I started going through hair loss. My looks start changing. My confidence starts, you know, getting thin. And that's really when it hit me. That's really when I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, who are we when these things are taken away from us? I went to Atlanta trying to be the next Zendaya. I come back Jada Pinkett. Like, it was no joke. And the truth is, we are honestly doing this more than we realize. Like, I am not a podcaster, even though I have a podcast. Like, there's a difference between who you are and the role you play. Identity versus the role that you are playing in said identity. Like, I am, you know, a creative, but I also, that's the role that I'm playing as a creative. Like, we are so much more than the labels that we put on ourselves. Like, there is really nothing in the human language that can completely just describe who you are, you know? And honestly, I have a funny relationship with labels, and I try to not dive too deeply into them, because if you are really identifying as a role or a label, and again, say if that does get taken away, then your confidence or, again, your identity itself can crumble. And that's not a fun place to be, and you have to rebuild yourself up, and it just takes a lot of work. So one thing that situation has taught me is to not put so much weight in all your eggs in one basket when it comes to your roles and who you're playing in this life. Labels are interesting, and it's something I try to stay away from, because labels could be things that people put onto you, but it also could be things that you put onto yourself, you know? Like, say with content creation, for example, a lot of people are like, you know what? You need to find your niche. You need to know what you're doing. It's very strategic, right? But the thing is with that is it's so easy to kind of, again, put yourself in this box, and then you feel creative block. Then you're like, why does this feel like work? Why isn't this fun? Why aren't the creative juices flowing? It's because you were told that's what you had to be. You believed it, and now you're acting like you have to do that. That's not the truth. And the thing is, a lot of the boxes that we are in, we don't even realize we have the keys to them. A lot of the boxes that you are putting yourself in now, the door is open. You have the ability to walk out that door, but the question is, why aren't you? Are you attached to that label? Are you not wanting people to perceive you in anything else? Like, if you've been trying to, like, you know, act bougie or something for the internet and, you know, spend the money to look like you got money, and then now that you're in a tough situation and you don't got the money, are you afraid what other people are going to think? Oh, they're going to think I'm broke. Oh, they're going to think this. Oh, they're going to think this. Like, you have to be careful, because sometimes you're just digging the hole. And oh my God, hold on, because there was a quote. Hold on, I literally wrote it yesterday. I have a great one for you guys. Ready? What you don't realize is what you are choosing to neglect will come to collect. Ooh, when I first heard that, I said, oh my God, wait. I had to write it down immediately, because what you are choosing to neglect will always come to collect. Like, if you are refusing to go after your goals, go after your dreams, and, you know, you are just, say, building someone else's dream, you know, just not really listening to what God has put on your heart, You know what's going to come collect? Regret. It's going to come collect that real quick. It says, yeah, thank you. Have fun with this. Have fun with this. This is the path you chose. Well, have fun with this, right? And so again, so you have to sometimes be careful with the labels that, you're putting onto yourself, or the labels that you're allowing other people to put on yourself, especially if it's the labels of the people that you value the most. Like, again, a lot of the time you're valuing the opinions of the people you love or the people you respect. And sometimes that's great. But at the same time, you need to make sure that you aren't too attached to those. And the quicker you can catch yourself placing these roles as your identity and these labels upon yourself, you realize like, okay, this is not me. So who am I? Who do I want to be known for? How do I treat people? How do I want people to remember me? Because people are really never gonna remember what you were wearing, or sometimes even what you said. They're gonna remember how you made them feel. And that is really kind of who you are to a core in your character. So no matter if you're a podcaster, if you are not a fun podcaster to be around, if you make me feel like shit, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what you are. It matters who you are and how you show up in this world, no matter what role you are. Because even some people, whether they're working, you could have 5 nurses, and every single one of those nurses are different people because it's a role that they're playing. It's a job or whatever, It's never who you are. And the reason, and the true reason really why I'm bringing this up, is because we can get so caught up in that version of us. We can get so caught up in that version of us that we genuinely think that's who we are. Like, oh, I'm a model. And when people are like, okay, well, what makes you different from the other models? Oh, it's because of how I walk. Oh, it's because, no one can do this like me. Right. But like, again, who are you? I think some people generally do not know the answer to who are you. And honestly, I can say this because that was once me. I really used to think my hair is what made me different, because I would go around to schools and there'd be only 1 or 2 other girls with curly hair. Like, it wasn't nothing crazy. And so when people be like, what makes you different? Or even when I was modeling, what makes you different? I'd be like, my hair. Okay, like, it's such a surface level. If your answers are only surface level, you really have to dive deeper and also wonder, why are your answers surface level? Again, my main point with this is to allow you to catch yourself into these roles and dive deeper with yourself. Because also, the deeper you get to know yourself, the deeper you get to know other individuals and more people. Also, another great reason to catch yourself in these roles is that once you truly know who you are, no matter what role you're playing today, your confidence and your like nervous system is never going to be shook by what happens. Like, say if you are a creator and you're posting content, your confidence level isn't going to be shook by the views, because that's not who I am. It doesn't really matter. I'm posting, I'm showing up. And that's the thing too. Let's talk about that, because it's not about the role you're playing. It's about who you are becoming in that role, but also what are you doing in that role. And what I mean by that is, like, no matter if your views or whatever are fluctuating as a creator, you're still disciplined. That right there, that's not necessarily a role. That is just kind of, again, it's a trait inside of who you are. Again, I'm disciplined because I'm showing up every day. I'm consistent. Again, it's not I'm just a creator. I am a list of all these things, and this is what makes my character. And that's kind of what we want to move it forward and push into the world. Or another example could be, again, if you're an athlete, again, I show up first to practice. I show up, bright and early. I do my stretches. I eat right. Again, like, all these things. It's like, it's about it's a bunch of components that make up this character. Because even if, say, you're not that athlete, or if you're not that content creator, your discipline will still always be there because you installed it consistently over and over and over. And as we know, repetition is the mother of all learning. Now, this next concept that I want to get into was taught by my mentor, and it's be, do, have. So a lot of people live their life on have, do, be. And you're like, what are you talking about? Okay, so a lot of people say, I will be confident once I have the car. I will be happy if I have the money. A lot of people say that they'll be something once they have something, and that's completely backwards, because you're constantly chasing something outside of you. And that's not where you want to be, because it's just, again, you're never fulfilled. You're always prolonging something as simple as your happiness. Sometimes we don't control a lot of things. Like, I can't control the weather, but I can control me being happy despite the weather. One thing that I really learned was you need to be, do, have. To have what you are wanting, you need to become that person. Like, you have to live that life now. You have to step into that version of you now to have that. Because at that point, it's not a matter of if, but when. If you are someone who is constantly showing up and being disciplined and being a good person and helping others and really locking in on your dream, there is no other effects to happen but success. Like I said in the last episode, success has a way of finding exceptional people. It's because those are the causes of the effect to being successful. It's a side effect. Money is literally a side effect. If you go to work, that's a cause. The effect is getting money. That it's literally an exchange. And once you think about it in that way, it's not, oh, let me chase the end result, because then you're on this rat race of something that isn't even fulfilling. And then mind you, people are also prolonging something like their happiness. Like, again, if you think about it, it kind of sounds crazy. Oh, when I'm with somebody, then I'd be happy, then I'd be confident, then I'm gonna dress this way. Like, why don't you just work on being that now? Because when you become it, then you do the things that that person does and is, and then you will have what that person has because you do what that person does and you are what that person is. That's be, do, have, guys. Like, it's something we do a lot of the time subconsciously, because a lot of the time people don't even realize be, do, have works in a positive manner exactly how it works in a negative manner. For an example of a negative manner, if you are being somebody that doesn't believe in themselves, you're going to do what that person does, which sometimes is nothing, right? It's what that person does is take other people's opinions seriously. You know, they put their other people's happiness on top of their own. They do and they have what that person has. And a lot of the time is they're not happy with where they want to be. Some of them times they're miserable in their 9 to 5. It's because they don't believe in themselves enough to change. You know, and so again, that's just a side effect. That's just what happens. And it's be, do, have. It's just another example. And sometimes you just have to catch yourself in these cycles. You know, I'm not saying this to bring anybody down. I'm saying it to bring awareness, because if this is you, I want you to realize of how much you can actually change your life, and to not blame external sources for you being unhappy, for you not being fulfilled. And so with that being said, I did write down some questions that will help you guys apply it to your life. If you have a pen and paper, if you want to text it to yourself, go ahead and get that ready. And I do encourage you guys to do this because, again, accountability is our tool. So the first question is, if the goal disappeared tomorrow, would I still know who I am? If the career of being in the NFL or the NBA disappeared, would you still know who you are? If, being a model or whatever it is, even like an entrepreneur, again, some of these things obviously aren't going to disappear, but I'm just saying, if you put all of your belief into this is who I am, what happens, you know what I'm saying? Because it happened for me, you never know. Like, there might be, I'm not gonna put any negative energy on anyone, but you really never know, okay? And so I'm just preparing you for sometimes things that happen that we don't control. Next question is, who am I without external validation? This one is so big for your career, for your relationships, but yeah, who are you without the external validation? Like, who are you without people's opinions or labels that they project onto you? The next question is, what traits define me regardless of the outcome? Am I a free-spirited person? Am I a confident person? Am I a nice person? Am I an honest person? Like, a lot of these things is like, who are you outside of your role? Ooh, this is a big one. Do I love the process, or do I only love the identity it gives me? Are you trying to look cool for somebody in high school? Because I was. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you got to be honest. Like, yeah, I just want to show them, like, oh, I'm not this, like, shy little girl no more. Like, I'm not da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, and I love that for you, sweetie. But Do you actually love the process? Like, do you love the process of becoming an athlete? Because if you do that, that's a different story. But if you only love it because of, oh, well, I'm gonna get rich and I'm gonna, again, buy all these cars and I'm gonna like be in this designer all the time and I'm gonna have the biggest house and I'm gonna have like all the girls or boys or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you actually love the process? Do you actually love getting up every day, tying your shoes and doing that is what you love? Or are you literally only chasing the end goal, end result? And it's good to have a goal. It's good to have the end result, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter, because a lot of the time when you get there, you realize like, oh, it doesn't feel how I thought it was gonna feel. Oh, like I worked my whole life for this moment. And now what happens once it's over? Because another thing, if we're gonna still talk about like athletes, what happens when your career's done? All right, you made it, but now that you're done with football, now that it's not an everyday thing of your life, who are you? What do you do? What does that version of you do? How do you treat people? How do you show up? Like, are you asking yourself these questions? Because this is what self-awareness looks like. This is what self-awareness looks like, you know? And it's not always fun, because sometimes you're like, dang, what if I ask myself these questions and I don't like the answer to them? Then you're doing yourself a favor. Instead of running from the answers, you are addressing them, because what you neglect will come to collect. Again, you're just doing yourself a favor, bro, because that feeling of regret is heavy. I hope you guys are really catching my drift in this episode, because I kind of feel like I'm all over the place because I just like mind dumped a bunch of notes. But one thing I also want to bring up is that, you know, when you are on your journey, you got to realize that failure of your goals isn't failure of your identity and who you are. You know, like if I don't achieve this certain level of success or my goals, that doesn't mean I am any less than, you know, doesn't mean I'm any less worthy, doesn't mean I'm not successful. It just means that I'm learning a lesson that failure is offering me. And one thing I also want to bring up when you start asking these questions and you might realize like, wow, I do have to kind of detach from that and let that self go. You're going to go through this mourning process. You know, you're going to realize like it's okay to grieve that version of you that really did believe that this is who I am and that the things make me, because it's honestly going to serve you so much more if you just know that you are so much more than what anything else, any labels, anything else in this world could ever be. Like, you are so amazing. Because the thing is, it's never about the role that you're playing. It was never about the athlete. It was never about the creator. It was never about the entrepreneur. It was never about my hair. You know, it's about who you are. And that's really a big pillar into this podcast, is who are you? You know, after you take off the designer and your job roles or your goals or all of this, like, who are you? Sorry, I thought someone was walking up on me. I was about to show y'all who I am. I was kidding. A little quick. But yeah, a big pillar of this podcast is to really dive deeper within yourself. And honestly, I think that diving deeper with you guys is going to help me dive deeper with myself. And I feel like uncracked and opened so much in this first month of the podcast. Like, that's crazy. The fact that I started it and we're on episode 5, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, and that's the goal, is to just really help you guys. And in that, I'm going to help myself, you know, like in helping you guys and speaking and showing up for you guys. I am showing up for the version inside of me that needed to be seen, needed to be heard. But yeah, honestly, I don't know how long this episode is. I hope it wasn't all over the place. I hope it made sense. I appreciate your guys' time, your energy, you guys just listening in, you guys being consistently showing up for me. I think that's awesome. And honestly, all your guys' messages that saying this is helping, like, oh my gosh, like, y'all don't know how much that like literally makes my heart like do cartwheels. But honestly, like, if you guys have been listening to all these episodes, if this is your first episode, I just want to say thank you for listening. Genuinely, thank you guys for just showing up and supporting. Thank you guys for liking, you know, sharing, commenting, all of it. Like, genuinely, if you don't, you know, follow, subscribe, you know, mess with your girl. I'm consistent. This life thing isn't always easy. You know, I think honestly, as like someone who graduated 2021, life is not at all what I thought it was gonna be when I was in high school. Like, bro, when I tell you COVID threw us for a loop and I've been on that roller coaster ever since, along with the other part of the world. I'm not like pitying me because I didn't have a prom, but like literally, like, I want you to know that everybody is doing this for the first time all at once. There's no expert on life. Again, I never want to come up here and make you think I know all the answers. I'm just coming from some hard shit that I've been through, some life experiences that God put me through so I could speak to you guys, so I could like be this person for you. But yeah, it's not easy. You know, we're living life every day for the first time, and, you know, give yourself grace, give other people grace, you know, like, and just really try to be the person that you needed, or try to be the change that you want to see in the world. Try to be the love that you want to see in the world, you know, because that is really what we can control. We really can make a difference. And so, yeah, I could go into a whole episode about this, but again, I just wanted to leave you guys with that. Thank you guys again so much for supporting, you know, following all of it. I see you guys. If you guys haven't already, leave me a comment. I will respond, and I love seeing every single one. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, night, and I will see you in the next episode. Oh my God. Next time I'm bringing hot hands, because this is ridiculous. My hands are literal blocks of ice right now. Oh my gosh. Y'all, it is cold, so I have to, yeah.